Welcome to VoteProPot-Cast, brought to you by VoteProPot.com. The DEA just made a huge change to how the government treats medical marijuana. And ex-Red Wing is collaborating with a large cannabis company. Why nanotechnology just might be the future of weed. We have those stories and some other stuff to share with you today here on VoteProPot-Cast. Welcome, everybody. I'm Phil Adams.
I'm Jay Britton.
I'm Andrew McCready.
Andrew is going to tell us about some big business developments. Andrew?
Some companies are showing a lot of growth in the edible and concentrate sector. And specifically, certain companies are showing this. Obviously, everyone thought when cannabis became legal, recreationally and medically, that the concentrates was going to take off. But as it turns out, granted, there more flower is sold than concentrates. But as more states get legalized for adult use and more medical brands are coming out and more products are being developed, there's going to be a greater need for concentrates. And the edible market is really starting to find a niche, not only in the adult use, but in the medical. They're finding it's not just really edibles as much as tinctures and creams and patches and everything else.
Extracts,
all the above.
Basically.
Yeah. Extracts, right.
Yeah.
So this is this article I'm reading from the Marijuana News is just stating how this is going to be a boom, and the companies that are really positioned well with the right types of concentrates and the right edible lines are poised for really exponential growth.
Now, are there some that are better positioned in general, or does it kind of go by region or by state?
Well, there's certain companies that are operating in certain regions. There's one, PharmaCann, is operating in New York, Illinois, Massachusetts, and Maryland, and they're coming up with a bunch of innovative.
What was that second state you mentioned? Something?
Illinois.
Illinois. That's what I thought. You
Fucking
said.
grammar Nazi. It's Illinois. It's got an S at the end, man.
No, it's not got an S at the end. It's not Illinois.
Okay.
That's not how they say it over there, you guys.
Okay, so there are some companies that are positioning themselves pretty well. So, but anyway, I think this is just like we've been saying since we started this podcast. Concentrates and extracts are where it's going to be. The future is going to be a big boom. And there's going to be billions and billions of dollars.
I am, being here in the D.C. area, huge Washington Capitals fan, and I'm sure you guys are also big Caps fans.
Used to be a season ticket holder.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Now, this story is about a Detroit Red Wing, or an ex-Detroit Red Wing, and I never really did care for the Red Wings, but they have the coolest sports logo.
Yeah, they do have a cool logo. Definitely.
I love that logo. So what's going on with that, Jay?
Darren McCarty. He's a former Red Wing, and he has 4 Stanley Cups with the Detroit Red Wings. He's collaborating with a company called Pincana. They're a cannabis company that is building a massive medical marijuana grow and processing operation in, I'm going to try to pronounce this, Pinconning. Pinconning is a city just north of Bay City, which is, north of Detroit. Darren has been a really strong advocate for legalizing, and he says that marijuana saved his life. Apparently, he had a serious drinking problem to the point where it landed him in the hospital, and I think he was having some organ failure and so forth. And somebody got him to smoke marijuana rather than drink, and he said it saved his life. So he's teamed up. Yeah, he's teamed up with Pincana, and they plan to open dispensaries in Kalkaska, East Lansing, and Albion. Bay City. Remember the Bay City Rollers?
SATUR.
Right.
DAY.
I was trying to think of that.
I remember that. Bay City Rollers.
So yet another celebrity sports figure jumping into the cannabis corporate situation.
The corporate biz, yeah.
And he has a personal story to tell about it. So that's a good thing. He's grown some pot outdoors, he says, but he's leaving the cultivation and the processing to the company. They're going to specialize in CBD rub and gummies, a mellowing strain of marijuana, and a very high potency strain of marijuana, as well as marijuana-infused chocolate peanut butter candy bars. So, yeah, sounds pretty good. He's the guy, and Phil, you'll know this because you follow hockey. I don't really follow that closely. He is famous for a fight that he had with Colorado Avalanche forward Claude Lemay. Is that how you pronounce his name? Lemieux? I think it's Claude Lemieux.
Lemieux, probably, yeah.
He pummeled this dude in 1997 after it was like he was getting back at a fight that Lemieux had with Chris Draper. So anyway, he just beat the shit out of this guy on the ice.
Wow, I don't recall that one.
Well, it was 20-some years ago. But
it was a while back, yeah.
They still show this clip. It was brutal, man. And he says, to close out, he says, I'm a 4-time Stanley Cup winner, and this company has won the Cannabis Cup, which you're familiar with, 45 times. So he says, I'll be the first athlete with a Stanley Cup and a Cannabis Cup.
There you go.
All right. One of the most fascinating things in science to me is the field of engineering known as nanotechnology. This is the science whereby you can manipulate individual molecules and even atoms. And that's just fascinating to me, how that kind of technology has emerged. Well, that just might be the future of cannabis. What can you tell us about that, Andrew?
There's a new technology being used in the cannabis industry. It's called nanotechnology. And basically what they're doing, they're taking the THC and CBD molecules and taking it down to almost like an individual, to almost the individual molecule. And it's encased in like some kind of, I don't want to say plastic, but some kind of encasement that delays the absorption of the THC. So if you use it, so what happens when you take the capsule that it's in is water soluble. So when you put it on your skin, which is 80% water, or in your mouth, it get absorbed just as if it was water. But it doesn't release until it's well into your system. So they're able to do is target it better, and you get a more efficient effect from the molecule.
Is it like a time release kind of thing, or?
Well, it ends up being just that, yes. And also they're able to, and it's so small they can target it, like because they use this technology in treating cancer patients,
right? Where
they can actually go in and target just the cancer cells and not the healthy cells,
right?
So they're showing a lot of promise, and there is one company that I hear is going to be marketing a product using this technology.
Interesting,
but it's fascinating.
What does that do to your buzz? I wonder.
I don't know. It's supposed to be a more effective buzz. I just think it's going to get into your system better and quicker. And that's what everyone's looking for. That's one of the downfalls of edibles is it takes so long to get it. When someone comes home from work and they want to unwind, it's quicker just to take 1 or 2 puffs, and in 30 seconds you're feeling great, or waiting an hour and a half.
Right. Right.
So with this technology, I think through maybe a tincture or an edible or a cream rubbed on a certain part of your body, I guess, where it absorbs quicker, and you'll get a quick, effective result.
That's pretty cool. That's fascinating, and also I'm sure the medical applications would be just as astounding and beneficial.
Yeah, this technology is being used more than just the cannabis industry. Obviously, it's coming to the cannabis industry from other.
Right.
But it's like I think this is great. Talk about sci-fi. It's like the Borg. And it's going to have Borg bong.
A Borg bong.
A Borg bong. Well, you know what they say. Resistance is futile.
I thought it was futile.
Well, I guess it depends from Borg to Borg. I've heard him say both.
Mm-hmm. Depends on where they're from.
The dialect.
Yeah, I guess which collective they're. I guess there's only one collective, right? Yeah. Anyway, we digress. There is more to edibles, actually, than just peanut butter and chocolate. The French butcher is making CBD sausages that are selling like and probably with hotcakes. Jay?
So this is a 22-year-old guy, He's a French butcher named Luca Morand. And he came up with this idea, and he experimented for several months with different recipes. And he came up with a CBD infused, like a breakfast style sausage link, essentially. So it went on the market a few months ago. I think it was April. The things have been selling like crazy. He can't keep them in his shop. He's selling them for $24 a pound, guys. I mean, think about it. I can go buy my Jimmy Dean's for like $3-4 at Walmart. It's $24 a pound, and he can't keep them in stock. So it says he spent several months experimenting with recipes till he came up with it. So supposedly it tastes great, and it's infused with, of course, CBD. And the people who are using it say they eat it for breakfast, and it gives them a charge all day long. They feel great.
Ha! I imagine so. That's almost like the time release thing because it's fat soluble, and you're getting all that good sausage, pork fat, and it's probably floating around your system all day.
He calls the sausages Wheaties, and it's spelled French, but it's pronounced Wheaties. It's like weed.
Did you eat your Wheaties?
Did you eat your Wheaties today? So it's just CBD at this point because it's all that's legal in France. But he's hoping to obviously convert this to THC at some point. So
brings a whole new definition to sausage party. Huh?
That's right. Absolutely. He claims that he is the first and only person in France, but there's a place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin called the Brat House, and they have added to their menu a few months ago a food they call the Pineapple Express. And it's a CBD infused bratwurst topped with a pineapple habanero salsa and served with CBD infused sauerkraut and CBD infused mustard.
Wow!
So he's not necessarily the first on the market. So if you're looking for a little CBD in your sausage, you got to go to France or Milwaukee. I think I'd rather go to France. No offense, Milwaukee.
Well, the interesting thing about infused sausages and a lot of these things is from
that sounds dirty.
From the perspective of a chef, is that you're getting the molecules to attach itself to fat molecules, and there's so many different fat molecules out there. And I think we're seeing how
I got a few of them around my belly button right now.
Right, like how. How it adheres to a chocolate molecule as opposed to an animal fat molecule or butter.
Sure.
I know when I cook edibles, I add lecithin, which is a fat stabilizer, to my edibles because I think, and I've read that you get more of an effect when you do that because it gives more a stabilized fat.
Probably more even
to adhere
distribution.
to, and your body can absorb it.
Okay.
So it's interesting how you're seeing all these products come out that are, different types of fat. Like I can't wait for a infused creamer. The 1 ounce little creamer cups has 5 milligrams in it. Put in your coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh man,
have it at your Cannabis cafe.
There you go.
Right.
I mean, I hate to be a buzzkill, but I don't know. Maybe it's just I don't see the advantage of having the food infused or the creamer infused. Just freaking eat a gummy.
You know what it is some people don't want to smoke, so they want to ingest it some way.
And that's fine. That's me.
And also it's sort of crossover to the cannabis aficionado is sort of also a foodie.
I guess
so. There's sort of this cannabis cuisine thing.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're going to do it, let's do it right. Why eat a brownie when we can have foie gras?
Right. You'll have something for everybody. Now, no one of these delivery systems is going to be any
perfect for everybody.
Huge money maker or the big thing, but it's good to have a lot of different ways,
Yeah, true.
To enjoy. How many different ways do we enjoy caffeine?
Right.
Or
alcohol.
Yeah. Right. This is some news out of Washington, D.C. Federal government announced plans to expand cannabis research. This is an article from thinkprogress.org. This could mark the beginning of the end, some folks believe, of the whole federal drug cops reefer madness crusade. And here's why. The federal government announced plans to expand the research. Right now, there was only one source for medical research grown cannabis, and that is a University of Mississippi facility contracted by the National Institute on Drug Abuse. And this has been for the last 50 years. And I'm not sure where they're getting the cannabis to use, but it's one source. And we've discussed this a number of times. There's a lot of disadvantages to just having one source, one strain. If you're going to do scientific research, you're not going to get, comprehensive information from just that.
Well, it's a University of Mississippi, and they grow it. It's only one strain, and recent studies says it's closer to hemp than it is medical marijuana, with really low. And it's also they found mold on it and all kinds of.
Yeah, researchers have complained about it for years.
Right.
So it looks like we're going to finally have some action, huh?
Well, the decision comes in just before a lawsuit against the DEA, which was brought by a cannabis researcher, Dr. Sue Sisley of the Scottsdale Research Institute. She had trying to cut through like 3 years of stalling by the DEA. Mm-hmm. And the ruling kind of, it clears the way for that. And also the attitude, according to this article, the warm remarks, it says, from Attorney General William Barr that accompanied it in a press release effectively mean that Dr. Sisley has won.
Well, and I think this was like literally days before the ruling was coming down on this on the lawsuit. And I think the writing was, on the wall. They were going to lose.
Well, see, what happened was 3 years ago, the DEA said they want to license a bunch of growers to grow for medical purposes. Now, 3 years later, nothing's happened.
Nothing.
Right.
So she took them to court, as well as another organization took them to court in D.C., the D.C. Circuit Court, and they asked the Attorney General back in June, what's the holdup, what's going to happen. So now the DEA has made the announcement that they're going to authorize 33 growers. It's going on. It's going to be proceeding, and they're going to have it done here. Like within, they have a set time period, time frame to get it done, and now Barr says, I'm pleased to see the DEA is moving forward.
Well, but I don't think it's Barr though. It was his predecessor who was creating all the problems.
Right.
It was Jeff Sessions.
Barr had nothing to do with it.
It was Jeff Sessions.
Barr had nothing to do with it.
I think
for better or worse, he had nothing either way to do with it. I think
in fact Barr has the comments that he has made publicly with regard to cannabis have been pretty positive for us advocates, certainly compared to Sessions.
A lot more reasonable than his predecessor.
He's been pretty open to it.
Jeffrey Beauregard. I miss Jeff. I miss him, though,
Well, and I think the difference is it's just the difference between somebody who's resisting it and somebody who is not resisting it.
Not resisting it.
And letting things happen. Shane Pennington, a member of Dr. Sisley's legal team, said this, quote, "Until today, no one could do anything. We were handcuffed in limbo. Now they've done something. It's a huge, huge deal." And it's a huge deal, not only because it opens up, the research to other providers, other grows, but it kind of also paves the way for a downgrade of the scheduling, or if not a descheduling under the Controlled Substances Act, and that's what we've been advocating since day one. If there are other growers able to contract with the federal government, they can't very well put the kibosh on that through scheduling. So at some point, one would think they would have to be rescheduled or descheduled.
Right on.
But that's good news. It is, and I agree with Shane Pennington. It is a huge, huge deal. Well, folks, we're really happy to bring VoteProPot-Cast to you on a regular basis. We love doing it. We're not making any money at this, but we really do want to help get the word out, and that's our mission. So you can help us out in that mission. Go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating. That will kind of move us up on the list and help us get people aware of what's going on.
Guys, last week we mentioned that The documentary that was on Netflix is called The Truth About Medical Marijuana is no longer available. Our friend James Russell wrote me today and said that he found it. It's now not on Netflix, it's not on Amazon, but he can find it on YouTube. I'll put the link in our show description so you can check it out.
Excellent.
It's an Australian, it's a really well done documentary about medical marijuana.
I enjoyed it.
We'd love to hear from you guys. Send us an email at podcast@votepropot.com or call our message line at 240-257-2441 and we'll put you on the show.
And you know, there's so much information coming out every week about the cannabis industry and regulation, legislation, that it's impossible for us to even put a dent in all that on our weekly podcast. So we try to share as much information on our social networking sites, specifically Facebook and LinkedIn. So please check us out on social networking sites, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Just do a search for VoteProPot.
Sunday afternoon, like little birds on a cable, condemning forbidden fruit, but slipping it under the table. The table. Friday after school, Daddy's out with the boys and he's sipping a gin and juice right after telling